I'm Joel Barrett, LGBTQ writer, speaker, gatherer with Joel Speaks Out. I use my colorful story to encourage people to live authentically, not controlled by fear and shame. When I say colorful story, I used to be a conservative Baptist pastor, married, 3 kids, spent almost 15 years in ministry. The churches I grew up in were extremely conservative, narrow. I spent most of my life just trying to be a good, godly kid. That's what I wanted to be. And it became very clear through my upbringing that being gay was sinful and bad. And I heard a lot of really crazy messages from the pulpit about these things. And so I just learned to keep that in. Dressed the part, looked the part, carried myself the part, always thinking, well, this will take care of it. Now I won't be gay anymore. One thing led to another, went into ministry and ended up starting a church of my own. I was very good at covering for myself. It was incredibly stressful. And when you're not in a healthy state with who you are, you turn to what is your drug of choice, so to speak. And I had found ways to fill that void in me by anonymous sexual encounters, and at that time the internet was coming into being, and so it was easier than ever to be in a chat room and chat with some of the gays. It was disheartening to me, and the stress of it just kind of compounded it so that you're seeking that fix, that drug, more and more. Nobody really knew that except me, but I knew that my life was spiraling out of control. And there was a moment where I came face to face with myself. It was like holding up a mirror and going, wow, I need to do something. This is not who I want to be. And something had to be done. I could not live like this anymore. So at that time, Exodus International was the largest ex-gay ministry in the world. And so I called them and started what ended up being almost 3 years of conversion therapy, where I was in individual counseling, group therapy, went to the retreats, I read the books, I heard the speakers, I went to the conferences, and just gave it my all. After 3 years of what I felt like was being the poster boy of ex-gay therapy, I'm thinking, if this is as good as it gets, I'm not sure I can live with it. So I contacted my original counselor, who was the head of the state of Indiana at that time for Exodus International, and said, you got to connect me to somebody. And I just needed some real hope from somebody who truly understood where I was at. And to my surprise, he told me that he could not connect me to anybody. He said, the people that you describe all fall into one of 2 categories. One, this was a part of their life. Nobody ever knew about it. Got it fixed, closed chapter, we don't talk about it. Or 2, they took care of it, closed chapter, but they're afraid if they were to talk to somebody like you, they would just be drawn right back into it. And that is the day that I realized, so my options are to live in fear or to live in shame. And neither one of those was acceptable to me. That's when I came out to God and to myself. While nobody else knew what was going on in my world, that in my mind was the pivotal moment when I said, I'm out. I said, look, God, if you are who I've been taught that you are, then you know me better than I know myself. You love me more than anybody loves me. And so you also know that it's not working. From here on out, I'm living as a gay man. And then I said, you let me know if you have a problem with it. I'll be listening, I'll be looking. And I always say that God said everything when he said nothing at all. To my surprise, not everybody rejected me. Many people did, but there were a handful of people that were like, I'm so sorry, I didn't know you were going through this. How can I help? I started going, well then, if I am sharing the real me and people aren't running away, most of them are not running away in fear and dread, well then, why can't I just be me? And it was like that light bulb moment of going, maybe I don't have as much to be afraid of as I thought I did. And so I began just living it out. I ended up raising my 3 children. It was a long journey of rebuilding. My career was done. There were so many things that I had to just stop and go, I think I need to just move this out of my life now and let go of this and clear it away so that I can get to a flat spot to then think, what would I like to actually build here? It was hard. There were some really dark times. I don't ever want to put across the idea that it was like, I came out and everything was wonderful. No, it was hard. And it's hard for many, many people, but I will say it's 100% worth it. I have no regrets. When I started living authentically, as I began to just be me everywhere I went, that fear, that shame just kind of melted off. A lot of the addictive behaviors that I had formed as a coping mechanism also began to melt away. I committed to myself that I would never shut up, that I would just speak out about all of this, because it doesn't benefit anybody or any organization to operate in the mode of fear, shame, squelching who we are. And today, I help people let go of what's keeping them from living authentically. I write, I speak, I encourage people everywhere. I work with organizations, individuals, educational institutions. I believe that when we come together and we have that safe space to have those difficult conversations, we all are winners. So I try to create those spaces, and that's the gathering portion of what I do. What I envision for Joel Speaks Out in the years ahead, impacting lives to be all that they can be. And that happens when we embrace who we really are and we let go of the fear, the shame, or anything else, the belief systems that are holding us back and keeping us from being able to move forward into a brighter future.